So look, good morning, James. 3 months in then, a new contract. Clearly the club have liked what they've seen so far, but also, just as importantly, you've liked what you've seen so far here at Chesterfield.
Yeah, it's worked really well. Probably contracts talks from both sides, really. It was very amicable, mutual, and probably came a little bit faster than maybe the board and I expected, even though obviously it's a review process in any organisation after 12 weeks. And certainly after 12 weeks, we probably achieved more than what we thought when we set out, even our wildest dreams, because obviously the form of the team's been excellent. But that's not to get carried away. We keep our feet on the floor. The good work must continue, but so I'd obviously like to thank the board, particularly Mike Goodwin, John Crute, and Martin Thacker, who are the main three that I work with on a day-to-day basis, but also all the other board members for showing their faith and extending obviously my contract. That's always pleasing to hear and see when they talk to you. And secondly, the staff have been fantastic here. And it's very much a team effort, and I lead that process obviously as the manager, so it's very much I'm a voice for them as well, and some of their decision making has been key in the success we've had so far, which has been excellent. And lastly, obviously the fan base, the welcome they've given me on social media, the message I've received in the last 2 days has been outstanding. So yeah, it's married up really well, and but we've got to keep our feet on the floor. It's nothing's been achieved. We've just got ourselves in a position where we can look upwards.
Clearly you've had backing to reshape the squad as you've wanted to so far. I mean, is there much more that you could have asked for in the opening 3 months here at Chesterfield?
No, not at all. There's a process in place, and although it looks like we're extending the budget, we're actually reducing the budget, and that's part of my remit here. And I knew that was the case when we took over. We're reducing it for the long term. So yes, we brought players in, but the wage structure, and there's a wage cap in place, and any re-signing or any player that's coming in has to fit into that wage cap.
And when you're having those discussions with players about the long term, how important is it for you to say, well, look, here I am, here for the long term as well, and this is why you should be part of the journey?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Mike, and I think that is prevalent in the talks I've had, the contract talks with the existing players, and also any new players that are coming into the club. It's clear now, I think, on the field, there's so much stuff going off the field which is outstanding, and we know the structure of the club, the fan base is probably very high for this level. And it just hasn't been married up with the on-field performances over the last 3 years. Not to be in the top half is a little bit scandalous, really, for a club like this in the National League. But we are where we are. And first of all, any successful organisation or any successful department needs to be aware of where you are before you can move forward. And I think we've done that in the 3 months. We know where we are. We know what needs to be put in place. And I think the performance on Tuesday is more how the staff and I see the game on the field, and I think it was a really good performance on Tuesday.
Yeah, in those 3 months then, do you now consider the foundations to have been laid at Chesterfield and you're now building on them?
Yes, I would agree with that, Mike, but there's so much further to go, and also along the path you might want to go in a different direction and try and improve a different thing that you perhaps haven't seen now. You know, we're only 14, 15 weeks into that process, but it's like I said, it's probably at the start of this 3.5 months, we're probably ahead of where we thought we would be, and we've got a fantastic opportunity now to achieve something this year.
In terms of bringing guys in, Fraser Kerr signed this week. Could you still see more signings being made between now and the end of the season?
Well, I've said if a player becomes available that can improve us, then we'll always be interested. But I'm not looking. I'm not actively looking. The Fraser one just came out of the blue because obviously Torquay showed an interest in Scott. I then obviously researched that a little bit more, and Fraser was available. Like I said on Tuesday in my interview, I was very surprised that a player of that quality is available at this stage of the season with his experience, both in the Scottish Premiership and obviously in and around this level. I think he showed his worth, fitted in really nicely there on Tuesday with and without the ball, and he really gives healthy competition for that position.
Yeah, do you see the squad now as being big enough to cope with what's to come over the next few weeks and months is going to be incredibly demanding.
Yeah, I do, and there may have been a few shocks with the lineup on Tuesday. I thought that when that was handed in, I was sitting in my office. It's a long time from when the team sheet goes in to the kickoff. I don't know what other managers do, to be honest, but I'm like a caged animal. I just want to get going. But it's a hell of a long time, that clock going down. Especially when you're winning 1-0 with 5 minutes to go as well. The clock can go very slowly then. I just try and relax a little bit, watch a little bit of the warm up, speak to a few people, and but still it seems to be a long time from that team sheet to the kickoff.
Joe Rowley, how's he getting on in terms of his comeback? Could he be close?
Yes, he's back in full training. He is close. He won't make tomorrow, but we're looking next week for sure. With no midweek game, he's hoping to come back into the fold or be available for selection for Maidenhead away.
Let's talk about matters on the pitch then. At Eastleigh, you mentioned that performance being close to where you want to get to. What more can be added to it then to top it off, as it were? We
need to be more ruthless. I think it was quite plain to see with the statistics and also the eye of the supporter or the eye of the coach. I think it was that final little bit, final delivery, final run, final decision and final finish, because the build-up play and the build-up from deeper areas was fantastic. It really was. We made more completed passes than we've made all season. Still want that to be higher, and also I want more passes in the mid and attacking third than what we had, even though it was over 50%. So that was still impressive. It shows that we got the territory, but it's just that final bit that we could improve on, and I think the score would have been a lot healthier than an 86-minute winner. And making changes within games as well, particularly in terms of formation and tactically what you're doing. Do you feel your side is as comfortable as they have been with that now? Yeah, we obviously adapted with Nathan coming on the pitch. We adapted what we did. We adapted the shape at the start of the game as well, and we played differently to what we had in the last 3. So yes, I think the results show that, but we've still got a long way to go, and there's learning taking place from the staff and the playing side every day. How many different ways of playing do you need to be successful in the National League, do you think? You might only need one. But we'll decide how we play, depending on the opposition and depending on where we think we can have the most impact to influence the game, how we want to play. Yeovil then next, who had a rotten start to the season, but clearly results-wise, it looks like they're clicking into gear. How much of a threat do they pose on Saturday? Well, they're having a similar trajectory to us. No, they haven't had a change of manager, and the manager there has obviously got some experience in the league, and also it's his second year in the National League, so we won't be taking them lightly. We never do. Like I said, after the game on Tuesday, perhaps the players can enjoy the moment, the win on Tuesday, perhaps more than me. But I'm straight on to Yeovil that evening. So we know what's to come. I think it'll be our toughest test yet with the form of the opposition, and they're in the hunt obviously for the playoffs now as well. So it's a tasty fixture. I think both teams have got individuals that can change a game on its head at any moment. And they've got a good structure going with what I've seen so far. So it's going to be a good game, and one I'm very looking forward to, and I'm sure the team are really looking forward to getting out on the home turf again and putting a positive performance in. James, thanks so much for your time. Really Thanks, Mike. Thanks.
Good morning, James. How are you?
Morning, Liam.
Just on your new contract then, was that an easy decision to make for you?
Nothing's an easy decision when you commit your future. Obviously, you do your due diligence, but it was easy in terms of the boxes being ticked. Where I'm very happy in the environment. I'm very happy settling into the area very well. I've made some really strong relationships in and out of the club, and I can only see this club going one way, and I want to be a part of that. So easy in those terms. But obviously, when you get into the finer details, of course, some discussions and some negotiations take place on any contract that you move forward with.
How important do you feel it was to get it done quickly so that it doesn't sort of cast a cloud over your season and the good form that you're having?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a really good question, because I think both the board and I wanted to do that, but also we we were a bit uneasy with it, the press reports on it, because we didn't want that. It was behind closed doors, but it was what it was, and we're glad to get it done over the line a week later.
And it was been a massive effort from everyone in the last couple of weeks since your isolation period. And if you can tick tomorrow's game off with another good result, it will really sort of round off this sort of chunk of games nicely, won't it?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It really has. The effort of everybody, from the chef all the way down to Lainey, who's the security lady, to the players, to everybody's involved. It's been a fantastic effort. It really has. This passage of games now, these 5 that we targeted, obviously coming back in, we knew that it was going to be tough, the fixtures, because obviously Yeovil on a really good run of form as well, and the 3 out of the 4 were in the top 7 or top 5 at the time, I think. So yeah, it was always going to be a tough run. This is the last one of that passage, and we're in a really good place now to take advantage of the good form in the last 4. Yes, we lost the Stockport one in controversial circumstances, but we won 3 out of the 4. And we could have quite easily drawn 3 out of the 4, and you come away with 3 points instead of 9. So we've got to really be realistic that it's been a fantastic return, 9 out of 12 so far. If we make it 12 out of 15, then we are really moving in the right direction. So it's no point dressing it up. It's a big game tomorrow for both teams.
Has the team in the last few weeks gone above your expectations in terms of the results, given that it was your 3rd isolation period in a couple of months?
Probably not, because knowing how they've been training so well. The mentality of the players in or out of the starting lineup, the next training session has been fantastic, and the training sessions before the games where we're doing shape work, etc., when the ones perhaps are not or thinking they're not in the starting lineup, their attitude's been fantastic, and there's real healthy competition. So they're getting the best out of each other. They're demanding more of each other as well, which works when the crowds come back in and you can't perhaps hear the staff so much on the sideline. It's important they make their own decisions and they get the best out of each other. So yes, surprised a little bit about how much we've moved forward so quickly, but not surprised in the fact that we've really dug in games. In Notts County away, second half differently against Eastleigh, when it's 0-0 we're pushing, and we've kept pushing till the 86th to get the winner. I think we've showed different sides, but like I said all along, we're not getting carried away. We're still a long way where we want to be, but I think there's been progress, and certainly the way we handled the ball and the ball speed in possession was probably the most impressive thing on Tuesday.
And that's now 5 straight home league wins for the first time at this club since 2013.
Right, okay.
What do you put that down to?
Mixture of things. Everybody's working really hard. I really want to be complimentary about the staff that are working with me. They're really putting the hours in, and they're really supporting the decision-making process. And George, Dave, and Nick now on the sports science side really are working well together, and I think it's a good team on and off the pitch, and long may it continue. And that's one of the reasons why I've committed to my future. I see success, and we want to look upwards rather than downwards, and we can do that now.
Well, that home form will stand you in good stead for the rest of the season if you can continue that, won't it?
Well, a solid base is always your home form in any successful team. So yeah, we're pleased with it, but every team poses different challenges, and this will certainly be a different type of challenge tomorrow.
It was great to see Jack Clark play on Tuesday night, and he came on really strong in the second half. How much potential do you think he's got?
Masses of potential. I think that's shown in the contract he was handed at Aston Villa at a young age. Unfortunately, the Premier League is such a high level, so I still mentor a few players that are in and around that level from when I worked there. Still in contact with quite a few players, and to the young players breaking into the first team, it's a whole mix of things. It can be a bit of luck, being at the right time, injuries, so you get your chance and you take it. Also, the other side, flip side, is injuries on yourself. So if you've got an injury as a young lad at 20, 21, and you're just on the fringe of the first team, it might be the wrong timing. And then you get sucked into probably being in the 23s for too long, and the club doesn't want to let you go out because you're on the fringe and you're in the first team training, and all of a sudden you miss a few years of your development and your game time. Now, the 23s has its place for sure, but it doesn't provide the platform to real competitive football, what you'd get at League Two, League One. Sometimes your development can be stunted. I think that's happened with Jack. I think he just needs. He had a loan, obviously, at Yeovil for whatever reason. It didn't work out at the start of this year. He just needs a bit of love. He needs that platform to really show his ability, and he needs a consistent run of games. And I think his talent will take over them. But hopefully, we can give him that here. I think certainly in the second half, in particular, his final product was a lot better. He linked very well with Kwasi, and he took the game plan on. So I was really impressed with him. I think he came under the radar on Tuesday. I think if you watch the game back, he's had a real strong influence on that game.
He's had to be patient since he came on loan from Villa. Was that just a case of you trying to get him up to speed in the way that you want to play and try and give him that confidence?
Exactly that. He needed some high intensity sessions. The isolation period didn't help. The game at Boston, being in a storm, didn't help, and the way the game went, he didn't get his game time there, which is unfortunate. And he's been patient, but his attitude's been fantastic. He may come back out the team, but he knows he's going to go back in it after that performance on Tuesday. So I think he's got a real opportunity here, and who knows what's going to happen at Aston Villa. They may extend his contract, we don't know, but I want to make sure that his experience here gives him that confidence to really push on with his career.
If he does become available, is he someone that you'd potentially like to work with again and help him develop?
I think we could just cross that bridge when we come to it at the end of the season and see how he does in a block of games. But I'm just concentrating on the now with him, and he's in a good place mentally and physically. I think he's ready now. He showed that with his upturn in the second half. He carried on the pressure, and he really put it all in until he came off the pitch. Had an influence on the win. I know we didn't get the goal when he was on the pitch, but he certainly laid the foundations for us to get that late winner.
And just finally, how big a part do you feel Nathan Tyson could play in this second half of the season?
Well, we're going to manage him. We've got to manage him right. We've got to make sure we don't lose him again over a long period. Wise, obviously that would be him for the season. It's quite remarkable, really, when you're thinking about that. I've been here for 15 weeks. I think there's only 12 weeks left of the season, something like that. So, we are really in the crunch time now, and this is the time where you need to show your mettle, see what you've got as a team, and bring it on, because we're looking forward to it.